As grocery stores expand and offer a wider variety of products, we're certainly seeing the salt selection expand as well. And it's important to know that all the different salts have different uses, so you need to make sure you're using the right salt at the right time. I've got a huge selection of different salts here, and we're just going to give you a quick rundown about each of them and the best time and place to use them. We're going to start with table salt. It's probably the most common. It comes in the round cardboard container, and most of the time it has an additive of iodine in it. Table salt is great for baking. That's primarily when I use table salt. It also has cornstarch in it, which keeps it from clumping, so it's not necessarily a great food for flavoring things, with the exception of baking. Now, kosher salt is becoming very popular. This primarily is the salt that I use when I'm cooking. It has no additives, it's pure salt, and the grain is really nice because you can tell how much salt you're using when you're pinching kosher salt. In addition to that, sea salt is becoming really popular. A lot of people are opting for sea salt because sometimes it's a healthier option depending on your diet. And sea salt comes in a variety of different grains. This is a plain sea salt. Again, you can see the grain of the salt. This is also great for pinching. And then here's a flaked sea salt. This is great for finishing salt. It melts very quickly. It dissolves very quickly on hot food. And one of the things that you'll find, like when you're using table salt, when you sprinkle that table salt, it bounces everywhere. A flaked salt won't bounce quite like that, and so it works really great to finish without making a mess all over the table. Now, in addition to that, this is a gray salt. Another great salt for salting. It's great to salt water when you're cooking pasta. Here's a smoked flaked salt. This is a great finishing salt. It's going to add flavor, but the important thing to remember is anytime you're using finishing salts like this Hawaiian salt or this smoked salt, you want to do those at the very end of the cooking, right even when you're about to plate your meal. We've also got some garlic salt and some seasoned salt. These add flavor to your dishes, but remember there are additives in these as well, cornstarch and some other things to keep them from clumping. And of course we have rock salt. You don't want to eat this. It's great on oysters Rockefeller or when you're making homemade ice cream, but that's about the best use for that. Now, it's also important to know that with all these salts, they all have special storing requirements. And I find typically the easiest way to store the majority of these is in an airtight container. With kosher salt and table salt, you can store it in an open container, either like a salt cellar right by the stove or something like that, but you'll want to watch for clumping. You won't, as I said, plain table salt won't clump because it has those additives in it. I always store salt in an airtight container just to be safe, with the exception of the one that I have on the stove. A jar with a tight lid is the great way to do that. Sometimes even with kosher salt, you'll find that they'll clump, so you'll want to shake that salt really well before you use it so you don't get a big clump of salt in whatever you're using. So as you can see, there's a wide variety, and the selection extends far beyond this at the grocery store, but it's important to know exactly which salt to use and when to use it.